Welcome back to Turning Hard Times into Good Times. I'm your host, Jay Taylor, and I'm really pleased to have Daniel McAdams of the Ron Paul Institute for Peace and Prosperity with me once again. Thanks for joining me again, Daniel. It's been way too long.
Oh, it's great to be back with you, Jay. Thanks for having me. I apologize. I've got a slight cold, so my voice is a bit off.
Oh, I hate to put you through it then.
No, not at all.
Yeah, I mean, fortunate for you in that regard, we don't have much time, so let's get right into it. I noticed yesterday on the Liberty Report a video on the Ron Paul Institute that you and Dr. Paul talked about this story that's really made the mainstream press in a big way. The 60 Minutes talked about it. The New York Times talked about it. CNBC in the morning was talking about it yesterday. And that is the missing 28 pages, or let's say the pages that are classified from the 9/11 report. And these, the family members of victims of 9/11 are wanting some answers. There seems to be considerable evidence that the Saudis, either the country or people within Saudi Arabia, had something to do with enabling those who drove airplanes into buildings in the United States. And you would think that the American people should be able to get that information. Laws were passed in 1976, I believe, that granted immunity for certain kinds of activities from foreigners or foreign diplomats or foreigners in general, I guess, on our soil. And there is a bill going through Congress, or at least being introduced by a bipartisan support for a bill in the Senate that would reverse that would allow, when there's terrorist attacks that take place in the United States, for people to be liable and to be able to be tried in American courts for that kind of action. However, it's my understanding, Daniel, that the president is not going along with that. He is, in fact, resisting it and lobbying Congress very heavily, essentially seeming to stand up for the Saudi Arabian government and the people of Saudi Arabia, or the government of Saudi Arabia, I should say, as opposed to the Americans, who he is supposed to be the president of. Why do you think the president of the United States would stand against the American people in favor of the Saudi Arabian government? Have you any hunch or any idea what might be going on here?
Well, it's fascinating, and actually, I think if you can believe this, Jay, I think it's less about Saudi Arabia. I think it's actually about interventionism in general. The president is in a real pickle, because on the one hand, we've been conditioned by the media that 9/11 is the most horrific attack since Pearl Harbor, and certainly it was very dramatic. And now when you have the possibility of finding out a little bit more about who was behind it, and that is the release of the 28 pages. And, people that have seen it have said it's quite breathtaking. Former Senator Graham from Florida, Congressman Walter Jones, and many others have said it's very dramatic. When you have the opportunity to see, was there Saudi state sponsorship for Al-Qaeda or for the attacks themselves? Was there any collusion with the CIA in this? That might be something embarrassing. There are many things that could be in there. When we have the opportunity to look at it, it has not come out yet. I think it may well come out soon. But the other side of that coin is the Saudi pressure on the U.S. And if you remember, you probably reported on this already, Jay, but the Saudi foreign minister a few days ago, or over the weekend, he threatened that Saudi Arabia would dump $750 billion in treasuries if they dare pass this legislation that would lift sovereign immunity from Saudi Arabia if they're shown to have any involvement in the 9/11 attacks. So they all three go together. The 28 pages are released. People look at it and say, wow, the Saudi government was involved. Our loved ones were killed, therefore we're going to sue Saudi Arabia for their role in it. And this is sort of the chain of events that would happen. So along the way, you have this bill that was introduced by Senators Cornyn and Schumer, a bipartisan bill that you referred to. And what it does is it lifts this sovereign immunity in rather a limited way. It lifts it if there is a terrorist attack on U.S. soil where U.S. citizens are killed, then if there's a state sponsor, that state sponsor can be gone after. And from a PR perspective, it's going to be kind of hard to argue against that. I think if you interviewed 100 Americans, probably at least 99 of them would say, well, duh, of course you should go after them.
Sure.
But it's putting a pickle and this is why I'll come back to my long-winded answer. This is where it goes back to interventionism, though, Jay, because it's not simply about Saudi Arabia. The interventionists in the U.S. are terrified that if what foreign governments do that causes harm to Americans can be litigated, then what about harm that's done by the American government to hospitals blown up overseas, to collateral damage? The whole entire interventionist scheme is all about harming, destroying everything overseas. And that is why the latest news is there was a mystery senator who was blocking this bill. And we found out just a little while ago, about an hour ago, that it was none other than Lindsey Graham.
Oh, of course.
Prime champion of interventionism.
Yeah, that's really sad. It's really, really sad. Daniel, we just only have another 2 or 3 minutes left. So you're covering this at the Ron Paul Institute, aren't you, from time to time? I'm sure this is something that you and Dr. Paul will be talking about on your videos there, right?
Yeah, we do have a follow-up. We're going to put up a video on Dr. Paul's Facebook page a little later today. We're going to follow up and bring everyone up to speed about the president's threat to veto the bill. What does it mean? What does it mean for the interventionists? And our greatest hope is that we can shine the light on the fact that this is stuff we're doing to other people all the time, and we don't want to be liable for that stuff either, so that's why they're trying to block it.
Yeah, well, there could be some people that might be in big, big trouble if there was let's say, an objective court of justice that ruled around the world instead of just the United States Court of Justice that decides who is a criminal and who is not a criminal, right? If the U.S. was subject to the same kind, and it's really, you can understand why, then, so it may be the Treasury issue, which could wreak havoc on the United States markets, on the international markets. That is certainly a possibility, I suppose, although some people think it's more of a bluff than anything else. But I hear what you're saying, Danny. What you're really saying is it has more to do with interventionism. It has more to do with the potential for Americans to be in big trouble, be accused of perhaps war crimes or something else. It has really got the bejeebers scared out of the CIA and others potentially. Right here, huh?
But it's a perfect storm because Americans are furious the idea that the Saudis might be behind this. They want to not only know about it, they're going to want to end this alliance. This alliance is based on, quote, shared values.
Yeah, well, Daniel, the alliance is really based on an agreement that allows the United States dollar to have value where it otherwise would not have, and that's, we know, Kissinger was sent over to and Nixon during the Nixon years. They made agreements with the Saudi Arabians in order to demand the sale of oil from the OPEC countries be paid for in dollars. That is the petrodollar system that replaced the gold dollar system. And now, of course, we are seeing countries like Russia and China really standing up against that, and they are importing huge amounts of gold. Daniel, I'm sorry, we're out of time. I've got to go now. We've got a commercial break, and then we're going to talk to William Engdahl. And in fact, we're going to talk to him exactly about that. But I want to follow up with you as much as possible on this story, Daniel. So I want to thank you very much for being with us today, and I look forward to doing it again very soon in the near future. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jay.